Jake Kite, speech number 2.
Restart it. It's actually speech number 3.
Jake Kite, speech number 3. Global presentation.
Imagine being in the middle of the ocean on an oil rig platform when all of a sudden there's an explosion due to a hurricane. Hello, I'm Jake Kite, and my topic today is going to be the history of oil rigging platform and the environmental effects of offshore rigging.
Jake Kite, speech 3. Global presentation.
Imagine being in the middle of the ocean on an oil platform when all of a sudden there's an explosion due to a hurricane. Hello, my name is Jake Kite, and today I'm going to be telling you about the history and the environmental effects of offshore drilling. I have recently received all my information due to internet research. Around 1981, the first submerged oil wells were drilled from platforms built on piles in the fresh waters of the Grand Lake St. Mary's in Ohio. The wide but shallow man-made reservoir was built from 1837 to 1845 to provide water to the Miami and Erie Canal. The wells were developed by small local companies such as Bryson, Riley Oil, German American, and Bankers Oil. The wells tapped into the Trenton Limestone Reservoir in the Lima, Indiana trend. Each well produced between 25 and 250 barrels per day. By 1901, over 100 oil and gas wells had been drilled in the lake. The discovery of highly productive onshore resources undermined the economical and rational for continued production from Grand Lake. By 1910, only a few wells in the lake remained active. Around 1896, the first submerged oil wells in saltwater were drilled in the portion of the Summerlin Field extending under the Santa Barbara Canal in California. The wells were drilled from piers extending from land out to the channel. Other notable early submerged drilling activities occurred on the Canadian side of Lake Erie in the 1900s and Caddo Lake in Louisiana in 1910. The oldest subsea well recorded in Enfield's offshore database is the Bibi Abat well, which came on stream in 1923 in Azerbaijan. The technique used here involved using landfill to raise the shallow water. The Minerals Management Service under the Department of the Interior doles out offshore leases. However, both Congress and the President are able to limit the areas available for leasing by imposing moratorium. For the first time in 25 years, our coasts were vulnerable to inconclusion in the MMS leasing plans. The only area currently protected from offshore drilling in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and even that moratorium is under fire. In 2006, bipartisan agreement, Congress passed the Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act, which opened up new areas in the western and central Gulf while protecting the eastern Gulf until 2022. Oil and water don't mix. Environmentalists see two basic problems from offshore drilling: pollution from everyday operations and oil spills from platforms, pipelines, and tankers. On both fronts, they acknowledge the industry has improved through the years. Today's technology is much better at routine drilling at avoiding the kinds of spills that were common a generation ago, says Tyson Slocum of Public Citizen. Even so, there are still risks. When oil is brought up from beneath the ocean floor, other things are too. Chemicals and toxic substances such as mercury and lead can be discharged back into the ocean. The water pumped up along with the oil may contain benzene, arsenic, and other pollutants. Even the exploration that precedes drilling, which depends on seismic air guns, can harm sea mammals. Basically, oil and water don't mix, says Melanie Duchin of the environmental group Greenpeace, who lives in Alaska and still sees pollution from 11 million gallon Exxon Valdez spill in 1989, which supplanted Santa Barbara as the nation's worst oil smothers wildlife. In conclusion, we need to have offshore drilling to produce natural resources for our country. Also, we need to be more safe about the environmental risks falling back into the ocean and our waters that are damaging our wildlife and our earth. Thank you very much.